It's 3 a.m. The Blue Marlin is submerging into Cadiz harbour. Its deck is sinking steadily beneath the surface. The marine engineers from Cadiz have never seen anything like this before.
Arnie, Michael.
Yes?
20. The buoy is in place when they were yesterday night or this night. All 4 buoys in place now.
With the Marlin's hull submerged, Captain Posnax checks that the marker buoys are in place. A giant invisible cargo ship hidden just beneath the surface poses an unusual hazard to any unsuspecting vessels crossing the harbour. It's now 4 a.m. The key players have gathered on the dockside. Among them is Arnie Reed, Captain Posnax's boss. He's a former sea captain himself, and he's here to supervise the loading and safe delivery of the Marlin's valuable cargo. Snow White is due to leave dock at 6:30, and the rig's builders, Dragados, finally transfer responsibility for the world's first floating gas refinery.
Anyway, fine. No problem.
Rocio Perez's work is complete. It's too early to celebrate, but she's clearly relieved. But for Captain Reed, the challenge is only just beginning. The Blue Marlin is now fully submerged in its pit, glowing beneath the surface. Reed radios Captain Posnax from the dockside for last-minute checks.
Now is the wind increasing a little bit, or?
Hold on, we'll check. No, it's still 8-10 knots.
Okay.
The rig is ready to start its journey. It's 6:30 a.m. and slack tide is in 2 hours' time.
Take off.
Docking with the Blue Marlin must be completed as the tide turns, when the water is at its calmest, a window of just 30 minutes. There are last-minute nerves and a quick panic over which end of the rig is which.
No, los prácticos saben que la proa es eso y la popa es eso. Sí. No, están correcto cada uno.
The harbour master gives the order for the first rope to be released. The rig, guided by 5 pilot tugs, slowly moves away from the dock once more. The good news is radioed in. They're on their way.
Moving away from the dock now.
Okay, understood. Thank you. They are moving.
After almost a decade of planning and building, Snow White finally starts her journey north.
Bueno, Blue Marlin, vamos ya navegando para allá, ¿nos veis? 40 para salir, popa enfilada con el muelle norte de posición. Podemos poner rumbo ya tranquilamente.
The early light reveals the Blue Marlin sitting low in the harbour. On board, Captain Posnax makes his final checks. Snow White is floating perfectly in the water.
¿Qué máquina llevan los tuyos?
Uno media y el otro más de media.
Habría que ir un poquito más fastigado de tal manera, ¿no?
Although Snow White is sitting well balanced, she's moving slower than expected. If slack tide is missed, the strong currents will make the loading operation extremely dangerous. On the deck of the Marlin, a tall metal post has been erected. When the ship is sunk, the post remains visible above the surface of the water. This is the guide post, used by Arnie Reed to steer the rig into the exact correct spot. It's vital that Snow White is perfectly positioned over the Marlin. If not, there's a danger the ship will keel over as it lifts out of the water. It's time to raise the Marlin. If they don't, the massive ship will be sitting with only 1 meter of water beneath its gigantic hull. As the rig moves closer to the ship, Arnie Reed takes command. A motor launch makes its way to the rig carrying the end of a massive winch rope. This is one of several ropes which will pull Snow White towards the ship and secure it in position. Chief Pilot Carlos Valle radios instructions. Snow White is now being gradually winched towards Marlin. Any mistakes now, and 35,000 tons of gas refinery will rip apart the bridge or stern of the ship. Captain Posnax relays Arnie Reed's orders to his crew.
Michael, listen carefully now. Line number 7 cannot be like this when we're coming up against the guidepost. You have to connect line number 7 and change it to the front of the box, okay?
Pilot, this turn must slack the line. Let this turn go. He cannot control this line. Let it go. Yeah, let it go.
Captain Reed issues frantic commands to rope handlers in an effort to winch the giant rig into the right position without damaging it or the ship. Despite the size of the ropes and the enormous weight of the refinery, this is a delicate rigging operation, and with slack tide ending, the current is getting stronger all the time.
Hold number 7. We're moving. Don't slack on number 7. Just it's tight. Number 7 is on the brake. Hold number 1 also. Hold number 1.
A second guidepost indicates that the rig is almost in position over the Marlin.
Heave number 4. Heave number 4.
Before the rig drifts off-center, it must be secured. The ropes are expected to take the massive 35,000-ton load which is moving with the currents.
No. Come back to this one. Come back to this one.
Primero. Ahí. Okay.
If any one of these huge ropes were to snap, there'd be deadly whiplash.
Put it on the brake and connect the other one.
Finally, the ropes are secure. One last nervous check of the guidepost. In theory, Snow White is right where she should be. The time has come. Captain Posnax gives the order to raise the ship out of the water. As its massive ballast tanks are pumped dry, the mighty Blue Marlin slowly rises from the bottom of Cadiz Harbour. And as it does, the world's first floating gas refinery is lifted majestically out of the water. Together, the Marlin and the rig weigh a staggering 100,000 tons. It's an awesome sight. The world's strangest cargo ship taking on board an extraordinary passenger. The fates of Snow White and the Blue Marlin are now inextricably linked, and it's time for them both to embark on their historic voyage. This state-of-the-art gas purification plant will travel up the Atlantic coast of Spain and France, through the English Channel, into the North Sea, and on into the Norwegian Sea, finally docking 11 days later, if all goes well, at Hammerfest, Norway. The Marlin makes stately progress up the coast of Portugal, but the voyage has only just begun. her journey will take her through treacherous waters. The forbidding English Channel, North Sea and Norwegian Sea are all busy shipping lanes. What's more, they're subject to ferociously strong winds and storms. Hammerfest, Norway in the Arctic Circle is the world's most northerly town. Oil workers have been making the most of their short summer with parties and beer festivals. They've already prepared much of the Statoil gas processing plant, and now they're waiting for the final piece in the jigsaw, the giant gas refinery known as Snow White, built in Spain and finally making its way towards Hammerfest on the cargo ship, the Blue Marlin. After 11 days at sea, the Marlin, weighing 100,000 tons with its massive load on board, finally moves into view around the fjords. A calm passage was hoped for, and their wishes were answered. Now comes the final engineering challenge. The gas rig was designed to fit exactly onto the Blue Marlin, but now it must be offloaded and fitted into its final resting place, this rectangular dock, connecting it with the rest of Statoil's Arctic gas station. When it's working, this huge maze of interconnecting pipes and tanks will form the heart of this gas processing operation. Over its lifetime, it will suck in millions of tons of natural gas every day and convert it into liquid fuel. Before Snow White can be docked, she needs one last inspection by divers. They must check that none of the metal anodes on her hull have been damaged on the long journey from Spain, and it's another perilous job. Diving here poses its own special problems. The water temperature is far colder than in Spain, and the Arctic currents are strong. Yet the diving engineers must stay under the rig for as long as 3 hours at a time. To survive, the divers have to wear dry suits 5 centimeters thick, lined with platinum. The fjord is also incredibly deep. Before they can swim beneath the rig, it must be offloaded from the Blue Marlin. First, water is pumped into the ship's ballast tanks, allowing the Blue Marlin to submerge into the fjord. As it does, the ropes are released, and Snow White gracefully floats off. Arnie Reed breathes a sigh of relief. The divers have already started checking the anodes on the hull. But there are unexpected problems. Many of the heavy wooden beams from the deck of the Marlin have attached themselves to the rig. The currents beneath the hull are also proving to be dangerously strong.
Øystein, du må også være obs på hvis det noen sånne plankebiter eller trepute. Ja, det må du være litt obs på når du svømmer.
Some of the massive beams are falling from the rig. Others must be cut off. But in the fast-moving waters, they pose a serious hazard to the divers. As the tide comes in, a simple operation becomes complicated. A diver returns exhausted after 2.5 hours battling the icy currents.
Vi ser 15 meter på lys. Jeg så deg ikke slutt. Men så ikke du meg heller?
Nej, men jag tror att jag flyttade mig fram när jag kände bara dra i umbiliken, så flyttade jag mig fram mot 2 anoder, så att jag måste sluta.
Men de 3 siste rekkene ser så strømmen, og strømmen tar en renn jo der nede.
Ja, visst, men strömmen kan inte göra någonting, utan jag...
For the engineers at Hammerfest, this is the moment of truth. Snow White must be guided into her permanent home. 4 massive winches begin to pull 35,000 tons of floating gas refinery into dock. This is the most advanced gas refinery in the world. It cost a staggering